Hey guys, welcome to Three Lines Creative. I'm Patrick McKenna. If you have this error that is displaying on your Canon Pro 2000 or 4000's display screen, it means that your cutter blade assembly unit is broken and that it needs to be replaced. It's not that complicated to do, but there are a lot of steps. But don't worry about that because we're going to show you each and every one. So stick around and let's get to it. We wanted to go over one quick thing before we get on with the video. Please understand that when you do your own repairs that you do take and assume the responsibilities if something goes wrong. This is big format equipment. It is very important to your business. If you don't feel comfortable doing your own repairs, please call a Canon technician. They're absolutely incredible. They'll come out and they'll fix it for you. The first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and pull this thing away from the wall. So we're gonna pull it away from the wall and plug this stuff in the back. Now, what we need to be able to do is access the side panels. We're gonna have to take the side panels off first. So you need to get into a nice clear area where you can get that stuff. So each side panel has 4 screws that need to be removed. You'll take those out. We like to remind everybody to please use hand tools. Don't use drills and such like that. You can strip those screws, and that's the last thing you wanna do is have a screw that's stripped and not be able to put it back into the slot it goes into. So the first 4 screws that you're gonna need to remove are right here, right here, right here, and right here. It's basically a mirror image on the other side, so all you gotta do is do the same thing on the other one. So let's start with this one first. You can remember that all these screws are essentially the same size, so if you don't put them in the same exact spot, it's not a big deal. Yep. And this would just slide right out just like that. Oh, lift this top right here. Sorry. All right, we're gonna put this someplace safe. Again, those screws are located here, 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 and here. All you gotta do is lift this top panel up. Move this first one. What I tend to do when I do these repairs, just to make sure that the screws go back in the same place, even though they're all the same size, is I tend to put them back in the slot when I lay it on the table. I'll show you a video of what I do after I get done with it. That one's loose. And the next one. Okay, we're just going to gently slide that out. And there we go, that panel's removed. Okay, so the next step is to remove this top panel and this quarter panel. Now on the other side, it is a mirror image, but there is one extra screw that you'll have to do, and I'll show you where that's at. The screw in the top panel is located right here. Okay, to begin to remove this quarter panel right here and this side panel, you're gonna have to lift this part up. So we lift this part up because this plastic piece hits this. If you don't lift it up, it's not gonna be able to be removed. So we're just gonna remove this screw right here, and then you'll see that this comes right out. Just like that. There are 2 screws to get this front panel off. There is one right here, and then there's one centered underneath here, and I'll show you in the video in a second when I go to remove that one. So let's go ahead and remove the top one first. Okay, and it may be hard to see in the video, but that last screw that you need to take out for this panel is right here. Careful and just pull that right off. So on this side, you're not going to remove this screw. There's actually 2 screws, one located right here and one located right there. It's actually going to take this panel off that comes over the power button. So we'll remove these right here. Always try to be careful when you're moving around, because now we're going to be moving around the electronic components on the inside of where that power button is. So we're just going to gently lift this up and out. There you go, just lift straight out. All right, so for the next step, to remove this panel right here where the maintenance cartridge is, there's 2 screws you need to remove. One screw is located right here, and another screw is located right here. So we're going to go ahead and remove those 2 screws. There you go, that's loose. For our next step, you're going to need a table or something that you can put this unit right here. This motor right here controls the print head movement, and this right here is actually access to where the ink drains down into the maintenance cartridge. You need to remove this because in order to remove some plastic pieces above the cutter blade assembly, these have to come out first so they can shift. You'll see that later on in the video. So to remove the motor unit, this unit right here, you're going to want to remove this screw right here and that screw right there. Now be careful, because on the other side of it is a connection that needs to be disconnected. And I'll show you that in a second. There we go. And now you can see that there's this connection right here. All you have to do is very gently pull this out. Do not pull too hard. Don't pull on the wires or pull directly out. Try to get your hand on that part of it the best you can and get it out of the way. For the next step, we want to remove this whole assembly right here that butts up against where the ink drains out into the maintenance cartridge. And there are 2 screws, this screw right here, this screw right here, and this ground screw, this pink one that needs to be removed. All right, now this is the part where you've got to be really careful. What you want to do is pull this out like this, directly out, and place it right here. Now, the reason I'm putting it here is I'm trying to take all of the tension and not have anything hanging on these cables down here. By the way, if you ever have a print head error, these little pieces can come out and be washed. I saw another video on the internet before on another printer, and we cleaned out our print head, removed these 3 discs right here, which we'll show you in another video, cleaned it, repaired it, and that helped to eliminate that print head error. So that'll be coming soon. You'll see that video. So earlier in the video, I was saying that we need to move some plastic pieces out of the way. These are the plastic pieces right here that need to be moved, and in order to slide them, we need to remove this section right here, and there's a plastic piece that's actually attached to the cutter blade assembly unit. And in order to get this unscrewed so that you can slide this over, what you have to do is remove a USB dock station right here where the USB stick goes in if you use that. All you have to do is push it out. There's going to be a screw hole underneath here, or a hole that you can send a screwdriver down into and then unscrew that. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so to access the hole that's underneath here that we could send the screwdriver down, we need to remove this. You could do it if you just had a nubby screwdriver, but it's kind of a pain to get in there and try to remove it that way because you can't see it. I just prefer to do it this way. So it's pretty easy. All you're going to do is disconnect that cable right there. These tabs, you just pull this little lever and this will get out of the way. So what I'm going to do here is just unscrew this screw, unscrew this screw, and gently push this out of the way. There we go, just like that. This middle hole right here is where you want to send your screwdriver down into. And then what you'll do is just line it up with this piece down here. Okay, so this is a close-up angle. I'll raise and lower that screwdriver back in there, set the screw. There we go. And I'll just loosen it up, take it out. There we go. Now this screw is specific, it's smaller, so make sure that you hold on to that piece. Now when removing this piece, it is actually connected to a cable, and I'll show you how to disconnect it here in a second. So this piece right here is the piece we just removed the screw from. It was located in here right here. There's a small cable, you're gonna wanna disconnect that. You could just leave it hanging, but I'm gonna pull it out just for safety. We're gonna make sure we reconnect that when we get it back together. So these are the pieces we need to remove. You're gonna see that there's some long slides right here and some little metal tabs. I've already pulled these out before, so they're a little loose. But what you'll wanna do is pull this, try to be careful not to break it. I did actually break a tab, but it's not super important. If you break one of them, they'll go back together, and then all of the other ones will move to the left and then just pull out. That's why the slots are so long. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and remove this first one. I'll change the angle and show you how I take all the rest of them out. So we're just gonna kind of pull this over the top here, pull it back, slide it to the right. Like I said, just be careful of those tabs. They're back there, you don't wanna break them, and then just pull it out. So for this process, like I said, all you need to do is shift these to the left, and then they just come out, like that. All right, they have these little tabs on the end here. You can see these little left-hand tabs, and I'll shoot a close-up video of where they sink into. There's actually holes. And so what you'll do is just place the left side first when you put it back together, slide it back in. So for these, you just pull to the right and kind of slide them out. Now when I put these back, or there's a table behind me, I'm putting them in the order in which I took them out. So they go back in the same exact place. So I have, just makes it easier for me. So that's gonna come out, just like that. And this last one, just gonna pull it back a little bit, slide it back, it just comes right back out. Our next step is this plastic cover that's actually covering the cutter blade assembly unit and motor, which is right here. Same thing on the other side, you just send the screwdriver down through the middle here, access that hole, and then you're able to unscrew it. It's loose. You can gently pull that out, comes straight out like that, put it on the table next to you. Okay, so now we're ready to remove the cutter blade assembly unit. In order to remove it, there are going to be a number of screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those need to be removed and saved. Be very careful when you're doing this. Also, you're gonna wanna remove the blade from here. We've already removed it. I'll show you how I reassemble it. It's only an Allen wrench. It's pretty easy to take off and put on. So we'll show you later in the video. We removed it earlier. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these screws. And again, the new one doesn't come with the screws, so you're gonna wanna save these and put them in a safe place. That was the last one. So this right here is the actual motor for the cutter blade assembly unit. It needs to be disconnected from this purple cable, so what you're gonna do is kind of just gently move this out, lift it up, and just remove that cable. So everything is disconnected now. All you need to do is go ahead and gently remove it from the unit. There you go, we're just gonna lift it up and pull it out. I'm gonna remove it from the end here. There we go, we'll go get the new one. So it's at this point of the repair, I like to get a little bit of pledge here and try to get in and get all the dust up that I can see. This is a good opportunity for you to clean this thing out. These things can collect dust and they can get in the way and cause a lot of damage. And so just like to get in here and do a real quick wipe down. Anything that seems to be dirty, any dust and debris that we can get in, especially on parts that you may not be able to access, you know, when this thing is all buttoned up again. It's also good if you have some compressed air, you can get that in here too. You go on the other side, you won't be able to see me, but just wiping down as much as I can. What I'd like to point out is there is a little piece of tape right here. You're going to want to remove that first before you put this in there. Just be very gentle, but that's where the blade unit actually goes. All right, you very gently slide this back in. Get on the other side of it. Get it out. All right, so it's back in. I've just gently placed it in. And the next thing I want to do is put this purple cap, or purple connector, back into the motor. So like I said, we want to put this purple connector here, back into here very gently. Goes in that slot. Make sure it's pushed all the way forward. There we go. Just like that. Okay, so now that the cutter blade assembly unit is back in here, we need to line it back up with the holes so we can screw those 6 screws right back into here. So what I'm going to do is, once you get it in the proper alignment, you can see that it just kind of clicks right into place. So if it's off, it won't go in, but you can see that it clicks. So I'll do that one more time. Clicks in. And once it clicks in, these holes will align. So as I said before, it'll kind of click into place. There's a hole right here, and there's a screw hole in the back of there. As soon as I push it this way, and it's aligned, it clicks in. Just like that. Perfect. All right, so I've got my 6 screws right here. I'm going to go ahead and just work my way backwards. While I'm at it, I'm going to gently push the carriage unit just forward so I can put the cutter on safely later. So, screw number 2, 3, 4, 5. So earlier I was telling you that these plastic pieces that go here have these openings right here, and that is where those tabs are going to go into. So our next step is to put these back in the place that they went. Now, there are 2 tabs located on the end of this, but you are not going to line the 2 tabs up with the 2 holes. This tab right here, the second tab, will go into the last hole. So you'll place that there. There you go. And that's how it slides in. Again, to repeat that process, this tab right here will go into this last hole right here, and that's how you'll start the process. Just slide it in. You'll see that this end right here goes over these, and they just kind of snap in, and this little piece will lock. Do the next one. It's pretty easy. So you just lay it flat, line it up over the hole, and they kind of just lock into place. And we'll slide this last one in. And there we go. They're all back in. So the next piece to put back in is this plastic piece. Slide that back over. Like I said, I broke those tabs. This plastic piece, and it just goes in like here. Lines up against that stuff. And you'll send this screwdriver up through the top. Again, we're just going to gently move this out of the way. Send the screwdriver into there. Let's actually move the print head first. That would help. This middle hole, line it up above the screw, screw it back in place. There we go. It's in there. Don't forget to attach this cable back into the actual unit itself. Again, make sure it snaps in all the way. You'll feel it when it hits the end. So now the next step in the reassembly is to put together and lock back down this USB assembly. So here we go. Place this back in here. Push this back in. It snaps. Grab our 2 screws and put them back in. Now earlier I said to take out a pink screw that was a ground screw. You actually don't need to take that out, so I'm just going to put that back in right now. All right, so we're going to take our purge unit assembly, line it back up, just like that. We have 2 screws, one right here and one right there. All right, so the next step is to take this external motor assembly that pushes the print head. We're going to place this ribbon back in, or the connector back in, locks back in place. This hole lines up with this pole, lines up right there. And then we'll have our 2 screw holes right here and right there. We'll put the screws back in. All right, so our next step is to assemble the right faceplate that goes over our maintenance cartridge. Again, we've got a screw in the bottom here, which is going to be entered right there, and a screw on top to be in this area over here. You'll want to make sure that there's 2 parts right here that slide through, that connect it, kind of hold it together. These things are kind of like advanced Legos. Think of it that way. Now it tightens down right there. Beautiful. The next piece to go back together is the power button cover. We have a screw right here and a screw right here. So go ahead and place this up on top. It snaps right back into place. Like I said, we've got 2 screws. Number 2. So it says we're on this side. We'll go ahead and put the side panel back on. So we're just going to place it back in here. Gently place it, and again, our 4 screw holes that we have are 1, 2, 3, and 4. So our next step is to put this motor cover back over. It's a dust protector for the motor. Line this right back up, Here we go. Boom. Now 3 holes up on top, you're going to go through the top left one. Up next is this bottom kind of quarter panel piece. Remember, there's a screw in the bottom right there. A screw up top. There we go. It slides right in just like that. I find it easier to put the top screw in first and then to do the bottom screw. All right, so our next panel is this top panel. What you need to make sure is there's some hooks right here. You need to make sure that you push them in like this, and then you slide this forward and it snaps into those hooks. And then there's only one screw, and it's right up top. We're gonna put it right there. All right, now we're gonna put the side on. So this side panel is exactly like the other side, it's just mirrored. We have 4 holes. Put this all together, snaps into place. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. So the final piece that should have been taken off originally is the actual blade itself. All that's required is for it to go in here. There is a hole right here. It lines up in here, and this is actually what's going to turn it. This rotates right here, and then this screw hole goes into that placement right there. It's very easy to do. Line it up here. Perfect. I believe this is a 3mm is what you need. I'll just screw that in. This piece right here will go here, and this will go inside a small circle right there. All right, guys, so now for the moment of truth, what we've got to do is go ahead and close everything. Make sure that's locked up. Gently put this down. Close this top, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the power to it. All right, let's turn it on and see if it works. And of course, I forgot that this printer doesn't have a chroma optimizer, so now I'm going to have to put one in. All right, guys, it worked. Everything's ready to go. I didn't get any errors, so we're ready to print, man. Thank you so much for sticking around. So thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys. I hope you found that video helpful. I hope you realize it's not that hard to do that repair. It's just a lot of steps. If you liked the video, man, please give us a like. If you have any questions or comments whatsoever, put it down in the comments below. And as always, if you want to see more content like this, we're going to go ahead and bring you more maintenance and how-to instructions on these Canon printers and other things. Make sure you subscribe to our channel.